dear children, this is Grandma Shirin here. As I promised, that next story is very interesting. And we learned how Pharaoh hardened his heart even after seeing all the signs that God had given. And Moses and Aaron had told, it is God's command to you, Pharaoh, let his people go. And today we are going to learn, as God promised, that I will take my people out from Egypt with my mighty hand. And today we are going to learn how God showed his mighty hand. It was through 10 plagues. Okay, the first plague was that when Pharaoh denied and Moses said, God will show you. And Moses touched the river Nile and it turned into blood. You know what is the color of blood? All of you know. It is dark red. And especially God showed this sign because the Egyptians, they worshipped river Nile. They thought this is their God. So God showed them that your God cannot do anything. The mighty God in heaven, he controls all the blessings on earth, whether it be trees or rivers or whatever. And now the Pharaoh called his magicians, but they could not do anything to turn back the river Nile into water. And then he called out on Aaron and Moses and he said, God will finish this plague if you let his people go. And then again his heart was hardened and God sent something funny. Can you guess what was that? Isn't it funny that you are eating your food and plop comes something? What's that? Frog. Yes, God sent many frogs in the palace also of Pharaoh, and everywhere where there were Egyptian officers or general public of the Egypt, there were frogs. Frogs in the kitchen, frogs in the bedroom, frogs in the sitting room, frogs in the playground, frogs at the back of the people, frogs in the going in the shirt, neck, frogs in the sleeves. Oh my! They were saying, what is this? And again the Pharaoh called the Egyptian magicians, but they could not do anything. Okay. And you know, strange thing was that in the Goshen area where the Israelites were staying, were there frogs? No, no frogs. And the news went to King Pharaoh and he said, what is this? And some magicians, they advised him, we feel it is really the hand of God. Again he called Moses and Aaron, said, tell your God to stop. And he said, if you promise to let Israel go, then our God will stop this plague. He said, okay, I will let it go. Let them go. And again, the next day, he said, no, no way. And then God sent the third plague. You know what is the third plague? Have you ever experienced lice in your hair? Ooh, it's so itchy. Itchy, 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 itchy. And lice was not only in the hair, it was also in the eyebrow. Men who had beard, the lice was in the beard, and they were itchy. And everywhere in the back, everywhere they had lice. The lice was crawling on their clothes. And sometimes if they did like this, lice is crawling on the book, on the tables, everywhere lice. And they felt like vomiting. They fell sick. But did the Pharaoh change his mind? He called again and he said, okay, the men can go, but the ladies can stay here so that you don't run away. He said, no. And again, a fourth plague. You know what was that? That was flies. Flies. So many flies, swarming flies on their kneaded flour, in their pots, in their pans, in their plates. Everywhere flies. And if a child is sleeping, the flies is going in the nose, coming out of the nose, going inside the eyes and coming out, going even in the ears. And it was so gross. And Pharaoh got again worried. He said, what is this? He said, okay, men can also go, but don't take your cattle and go only for one day. Then again, they had one more plague. And you know what was that? Their cattle started dying. Oh, the cows and buffaloes and sheep and goat, which were giving lots of milk to them, and the meat, they all died. And when animals die, there's lot of smell, and they stink here, stink there, and they were getting also infections. Because Pharaoh hardened his heart, what happened? God sent another plague. That was boils. Have you ever had a boil on your hand or feet or leg or any body? At the body, it's very painful. Sometimes there are big boils, and even if little bit finger is touched, it's very painful, and people get fever also with that. And the Egyptians, including Pharaoh, they had big boils. Oh my, it was so painful. They must have had fever also with that. They could not sleep because there were boils at their back. They could not even lie down on side because boils were also on the sides. Boils on their arms. They could not rest like this. And they cried out to Moses, okay, you go. We will let you go. And just tell your God to finish away this boils. And Moses said, okay. And God helped them to get well and no more boil. But again, his heart was hardened. And this time, the seventh plague was thunder and lightning, and not the rain, but the heavy hail storm. You know what is hail? It's like not the snow, but the ice balls, heavy ones. They were big ice balls, like glaciers falling down, smaller than glaciers, but they were heavy balls of ice, and they were falling down. And because of those hails, the heavy balls, ice balls, the trees fell down, and all the crops destroyed, and the cattle that were left, the animals that were left, when a big ice ball fell on them, they died on the spot. And in the area where the Israelites was there hailstorm? No, they were enjoying nice weather because God was with them. And then they cried again, sent the message, and the hailstorm and the thunderstorm and the lightning stopped. Again his heart was hardened, and God sent the eighth plague. You know what was that? Locust. Locust are the insect which eats the plants. So whatever the crops were left, the locust finished, destroyed. Now the Egyptians knew we are going to really die of hunger. You see, no meat. The animals were dead. No fruits, because the fruit trees all fell down. And now whatever grass and whatever little plants were left, vegetables, they also were finished by the locust. And again Pharaoh said, call this Moses and Aaron so that their God will have mercy on us and we will let them go. Again he changed his heart, and this time this was the 9th plague. Now what was the 9th plague? For 3 days, 1, 2, 3, 3 days and 3 nights, it was pitch dark. You know what is pitch dark? Pitch dark is that you can't even see your hand. So dark. In the day, sun did not shine. Can you imagine? Whole day there is no sunshine. And in the night there was no moon. And even the stars were so dim as if they have gone so very far. And children were crying, hi mummy, mummy, daddy, I'm so scared. Mummy, daddy, where are you? And older people were saying, some were trying to reach to the baby and they would hit something, they would fall, bang their head, bleeding. Some old people fell down, fractured their legs, fractured their elbows, and lots and lots of problem. And they said, and even Pharaoh was scared. And he said, call Aaron and Moses. And people said, it's so dark outside, we are so scared. How will we find the path? He said, well, take some torch. Those days, the torch was made of burning stick. So they took their torch and they had to walk a long way in the dark roads. And finally, they found Aaron and Moses. And to their amazement, in the Israelites, there was light. There was bright sunshine. And here in the place where the Egyptians were, pitch dark. And they called Moses and Aaron, and Moses prayed to God, and the sun shone. And God told Israelites, tomorrow is the last day of your slavery. You are going to be free. Go to the Egyptians and ask for your wages, which is for so many years. And they asked to the neighbors, give us jewelry, give us gold and silver, and they all got it. And Pharaoh said, if you will not let us go, you will not see my face again. He meant that Moses and Aaron, you will die. And Moses got angry and he said, indeed, I will not see your face. And the 10th plague was the plague of the firstborn, they will die. The Egyptians' firstborn were to be dead, from Pharaoh's son to the maid to the manservant and the maid servants. But Israelites' children will not die. And God told them to put the blood on their doorpost. And do you know, if there is blood on the doorpost, that meant that this house is God's people's house. An angel passed in the middle of the night, and when they were wailing and crying for their firstborns, king and other people, all the Egyptians, even their animals firstborn, they were all dead. And Israelites had to go quickly. They had to take all their cattle, all their stuff, and they had to eat the unleavened bread and the lamb that was roasted. They had to quickly eat while they were walking, taking all their things. And when the Egyptians were all crying, Israelites said, bye-bye Egypt, bye-bye. God has delivered us from the slavery. God showed His mighty hand. And last time we learned God had promised 7 things. And God is promise keeper God. He keeps His promises. And this way, the Israelites left the Egypt, the land of bondage, the land of slavery. And God is great God. Next story will be more interesting. Wait patiently. Grandma will be right here for you. And I love you. God bless you.